actually?
Um,
Or should we just yap away and then
just
Yap
go
away.
into
Let's go for it.
I've always feel a little low. I don't know. I
I
just
know,
think
in the
about it too much.
in
even
the
though
beginning, it's a little
natural.
like, but you gotta be all natural and stuff. But
Yes.
how's it going? Aiyana, our guest.
Yes.
How you doing?
Hi. Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you.
I'm
Nice to meet you.
fantastic. I just came from a photo shoot, so I'm a bit tired.
Awesome,
but Yes.
How far was it, or where were you?
It was only 11 minutes from here. It wasn't too far. It was right outside of the there's an eco apartment complex in Mesa.
Right.
So we shot in there
Okay,
in
cool.
the lobby as well as outside on the street. So
Gotcha.
it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
It was for a product. It was for some purses and backpacks.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I was just
Cool.
doing a commercial shoot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Was it
Straight through.
hot?
Just straight
Hot
through.
outside?
It was
outside.
hot, yeah,
Yeah.
but thankfully we went in and out, so it was nice.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Just want to dive into asking the questions.
Yeah,
man?
just
Yeah.
get right into it.
All right. So how long have you been doing modeling? Like, have you been all into that?
Yeah, so I've been modeling since 2014, on and off. I started as a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
I was a professional competitive dancer since the age of 2.
Awesome.
So I've been doing that for a decent amount of time, and I still dance as well. I do a bit of studio dance as well as heels and burlesque. And so that kind of led me into the modeling world
Yeah.
as I went to different competitions as well as conventions out of state in Las Vegas and California.
Oh wow, super competitive.
Yes,
really
very
moving.
competitive. Yeah, so we did travel the world, but I would say the U.S. We did travel the U.S., but it was a good experience in being able to network myself in the dance world, but it also did, of course, bring me into the modeling industry, which was
Oh,
nice.
okay.
Yeah, so it let me know that there's more than I can do with modeling rather than just modeling some dance clothes and dancing away and taking photos. It's more than that. So since then, I've just been building, and I did have a son, so I had to take a break, but I've been building since then. So.
Cool.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. So, Aiyana, you were telling us a bit about this talent management you got going on and a group of collaboratives that you work with.
Yeah, so I do have a talent company called Admire. We started almost a year ago now, and it's been pretty successful. We like to create education as well as foster different events for the community, as well as for our talent. So we have actors, dancers, models, photographers, makeup artists, designers, any type of creative you can think of.
Awesome. Is it all here mostly in the Valley, or are you guys networking with other people outside the state?
We are networking out of state, yes. So we are expanding right now.
Yeah.
It was 18 and up. Now we are expanding to a bit of a younger audience as well as out of state. So that includes California, Texas, Minnesota, Utah. We're traveling to next week. So yes, Utah. Yeah, so we've been
So full play. Yeah,
yes,
there's a lot of
yeah.
stuff
So
going
we've
on.
hopefully been expanding here
Yeah.
at a pretty quick rate, but just hoping to network and get out and bring my team to California or to Texas, out
Awesome.
of state, just to get them that networking opportunity. As sometimes in Arizona, creatives can plateau
Oh,
a bit.
definitely.
Yeah, just because there's only so much that you can do.
Right.
Yeah,
here,
and then
right.
not only that, the scene's evolving. I feel like for me personally, with my experience like in the fashion scene, art scene, and photography scene out here.
Yeah.
After the pandemic, me personally, I had to kind of get back on my feet, and I just felt like a bit of years happened, and then just things changed. Then the networking changed. People are doing new things. And then it's like, that's the thing with getting older. There's more people coming up with you. Like,
Yeah.
the people that weren't in the scene now a few years ago or they advanced, or they're moving new things.
A lot of
It's
them moved out of state too,
Yeah,
like Cali or something like
That's
that.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I remember initially, like, probably when we were, like, a lot younger, like 18, 20, people would say remarks like, why do they do that? You got to blow up here before you leave. It's like it's different for everybody, and then like how you were saying, there's that level of plateauing here where it's like, yeah, things are evolving, but it's just, you have to leave the nest to really grow. So I fully support people doing those things.
Yes, 100%. I know many creatives close to me that I work with that have left out of state to Miami, to California, but it's for the better. That's
Definitely.
for sure. And they could still come and visit us, of course, but it's, just a visit rather more so than dedicating their entire creative career here,
Yeah.
which I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a gamble. You got to take risks.
It is.
Yeah.
Do you plan on branching out? or leaving the state?
Well, I do not plan on leaving the state. I know that I go to school here. I work here full time, and I have my family here. And since the company has been established here, I most likely wouldn't want to leave where it's been established, at least not for a good chunk of time.
I hear you. I hear you. So
Yes.
right now, your main focus is more like modeling and networking?
Yes.
what is
Well,
your
in the
pursuit?
sense of the creative world, yes, I would say, networking myself, growing my name and getting myself out there, and to be able just to foster new models and actors and creatives, to give them a safe and fun space to grow and something unique and creative, just opportunities that you wouldn't normally see. That's what we like to come up with.
Yeah, and so with your years of experience, what are some advice you might give to someone that's like brand new coming in? They're like 18, 20,
True.
whatever age it might be. Say they're coming from their other line of work and they just want to dive into this. You know,
They just wanna dive right
how
in.
does someone like get started? How would you advise people to meet people, even get started their portfolio and things like that nature?
Yeah, so it's just great because I do coach new models with my other company, Verite Coaching. So typically what I let everyone know is that you need to brand yourself. You need to market yourself. That is the most important thing, especially now with the newer generation. Social media is very big. It's very influential. Anything that you see on TikTok, you want to buy it right away. So it's one of those things. It's how you market yourself. Really, anybody could step in front of a camera and pose, but it's understanding how to work a camera. So taking classes to understand how to pose and how to work with the camera, that's important, as well as creating yourself a good foundation in the sense of marketing and branding. So getting a comp card, making a good social media, separating your personal from your business, just because, a lot of times they say, oh, all my followers are here, so I don't want to separate that. But, sometimes it is better you wouldn't want to go to Albertsons to buy a cake. You would want to go to a, cake master
Right.
that
Yeah.
is always making cakes, so you can get the best cake,
Definitely.
you can get a cake anywhere, but it's,
So why am I getting this cake here when I can go there?
you can get the best cake.
Yeah,
exactly.
Are they known for their cakes? Yeah,
Exactly, no.
definitely. Yeah.
So that's really what I advocate for, especially with all of my talent. It doesn't matter if you're a photographer or designer, building yourself a good foundation for branding is the most important thing. So that's typically
definitely.
where I would start off. And from there, it's just endless hours of coaching. Yes.
Definitely. So with the new age and all those things going on, how do you personally feel? Like, what are the pros and cons in your opinion with like AI developing and just being rapid over time?
Well, I see the cons as we do not understand what is real or fake anymore. We don't understand what concepts are created authentically rather so than what is, copied and pasted or photoshopped. Or I even worked with a photographer, he's amazing, Tom Cheswick, and he showed me many different photoshopping techniques where I had no makeup on and he put a full face of makeup on and, put me in a cliff. And it was one of those things where you can never tell when something's real or fake anymore. So I think that's a big con. Just because that authenticity, I believe that's, at least for my audience, that's what resonates with them the best, is that authenticity, right? But with AI, especially with the AI movies coming out, I'm not sure if you've seen some of them, but the AI
Like the ones
trailers.
on- yeah.
Oh, like
Yeah,
regarding
those-
AI, not made by AI? Like,
It's all AI.
Yeah.
The actors, everything, it's AI.
Oh, like an entire movie
An
made
entire
AI. Like there
movie
was.
AI.
Oh, I think I've seen many clips of like little sitcoms or scenarios, or where people come up to the people on the street and ask them questions.
Yeah.
Those,
It was like, it's like completely fake, but the dialogue, it's AI, but like the nature of the way they speak and their opinion is almost real. Like it's
Right.
quite
a
believable.
little scary too.
Yeah,
It is scary, but AI, I mean, I'm fascinated by AI. I love all of the new technologies and all of the new ideas and everything that they're creating right now with AI. However, I would just say the only con of that is not really knowing what's real and what's fake. But everything else, I mean, it gives us new ideas. It advances what we can do. We can't take dance photos on a volcano, but now we can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now we can. These types of things that can benefit us, but as long as we use it in positive ways rather than,
Right,
having it completely take over. There's many photographers or cinematographers I've worked with in the sense of they over edit or they use too much AI and it takes away from who I am and showcasing
the
myself.
emotion, the
Yes.
raw,
Yeah.
the raw feel. Yeah, I've worked. That's what I've loved about working with other people. Not to knock anyone else. It's just
Yeah.
when I feel like when a photographer can capture the emotion or convey it through the model, the scene, and everything, that speaks a lot to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like I always try to look at that, or I always try to appreciate that. So when I could see it with other people, it's just I love it.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm just kidding.
He had 2 good questions in a row. Now it's
I know. No, That's because I'm trying to keep track of that and
Yeah,
like it's
you're
moving
good.
around. But
Yeah, I think I kicked that one too earlier.
no,
Oh, you
you're
did?
good,
No,
you're
you're
good.
fine. I did so
You're
good.
good.
No, we'll,
So you kicked it back where it was supposed to be.
Are you originally from the valley? Here?
No, Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
Minnesota.
Minnesota?
out of state snowbird?
Yeah.
Snowbird.
Wait, no, that's not a snowbird.
it's
No,
not
it's not a snowbird.
How long have you been here in Arizona?
So for a decent chunk of time. I
Okay.
grew up in Minnesota, but I was raised in Minnesota, but I grew up here in Arizona. Yes. So I moved here when I was about 11, 12 years old. So I was young, but I still got the best of both worlds to
Yeah.
understand the.
Do you still travel over there? Do you still have family? Do you
I do.
feel like going back or just
I do. Yes, my dad has 14 brothers and sisters.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
just his side alone is very
Makes
big.
sense.
So anytime I want to see his side, I will go to Minnesota.
No, it's
Nice.
beautiful.
Yeah,
It's beautiful. What part of Minnesota?
So St. Paul.
Yeah.
Yep, St. Paul, Minneapolis
The Twin City?
area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Twin City? Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, right there where it gets the worst weather.
The West, yeah, I heard about that. It's always cold,
Crazy.
snowing.
Have you been there recently?
Not recently, no, but we do
Uh.
have a family reunion coming up. It's not going to be in Minnesota. It's in another state that's neutral,
Yeah.
to everyone.
Oh, okay. I hear
Yes.
you. Yeah, because
Gotcha.
I mean, there was a lot of disasters there after like the riots a few years ago. Is it still the same? Do you know? Like, is it like still recuperating?
I'm not quite sure. I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure. Yes, my family hasn't been giving me any of the information as they usually do. So I could say that it might settle down, but don't quote me because I'm not sure. But
Okay, I'll
I
feel
haven't
you,
heard
I'll feel
too much, thankfully.
Yeah,
That's a
crazy.
good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
I
good
just remember that the most. Yeah, it's like kind of like a crazy time.
Yeah.
Almost like
Yeah,
you
there's
haven't
been a
there
few
now.
things, a lot of
Yeah.
undocumented things too that have
yeah.
happened in the
True.
sense of, a lot of
True.
crazy things happen and you never hear about it because no one ever knows, but the people involved. So that's kind of what I had to grow up seeing as well. But
Quick question.
yeah.
I mean, not to cut you off.
No,
But I was thinking about it. Do
Yeah.
you ever have like trouble collaborating with other like creators around the valley or anything like that? Is there any like?
Is there a difference from this valley
Yeah.
to another, like say like an outer city or something like
'Cause-
that? Or say like
Cause I feel like nowadays people are like, oh, I don't want to collab because such and such reason and stuff like that. Is there ever trouble with you like collabing with anybody?
Well, I wouldn't say that I personally have any issues collaborating with anybody, especially from different states as well. If I'm traveling to California and I have a casting call there, I've met some of my most closest friends and some of the best models and creatives from traveling. So I never seclude myself in the sense of there's always going to be cliquey energy wherever you go. There's always going to be the, we were here first. This is our
Yeah.
place. This is, whatever the case
oh
may
hey,
be.
what do you do? What do you like? You
Yeah.
know, what are you
Yes.
involved in?
Regardless of what that is, there's always going to be that.
Definitely.
I try to stray away from that, even though it happens
Try to
without.
keep it peaceful. Stuff like
Yeah,
that.
try to keep it peaceful. Yes,
Yeah.
although there are times where there are miscommunications, and
a lot of egos in this game.
there
Yeah,
is.
And I feel
Yes.
like, I mean, for one, there's the ego in person and online, but also miscommunication. That's just human communication through text and
Yeah.
through verbiage.
Right.
But like in general, there is a lot of egos in this game, and I feel like it's important to know that, but also to be aware. But also a tiny bit of, I feel like it is healthy. You know what I mean?
It
I feel
is.
like it is important for an artist to have that self, maybe not ego, is it like a sense of pride or just that standard for yourself?
Right.
But yes, it can be a conflicting thing, and it's a lot of opinions and misunderstanding, and just some people are just the way they are. So
Yes,
that's
no,
it.
some people are the way they are. And I really did build my business to try and foster creativity and bring in that community aspect and that community and family feel. And there are some creatives, I feel like, that are going against that and that are, they use their businesses to go against what others are doing in a positive, they're trying to go in positive directions. But yeah, it's really all in the sense of bringing the unity together and bringing that community together. So, which is hard to know. It's not easy in California, Minnesota, Utah, Arizona. It's hard everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to find, but it's creating that and fostering that, right? Because you can't just put people together and then say, okay, do this. You need to constantly be fostering that and checking in on that to make sure, if there's something wrong, because like you said, we are humans. It is normal. It is natural to feel jealousy or embarrassment or anger or dislike or whatever the case may be, the cliquey energy, but understanding, when that comes, how to handle it the best, right? And contracts too. I advocate for contracts, because without those, I mean, it's
Can you
a he
elaborate
say,
a little
she
bit on
say.
those? Like dive deep in those?
Yeah, so I've had a few instances where, you collaborate and there's no contract or there's no release form. So, once you fall off and you're no longer friends or you're no longer a part of the creative community or you no longer support their business, then all of a sudden the work that you collaborated and you traded or you paid and you did together with no contract, all of a sudden now, we don't want that work to be seen. And, there's no contract to really say, okay, well, these photos are ours or this work is ours or this outfit is mine, because there's nothing to really say but he say, she say. So, for any creative, I would advocate for, working on getting some type of release form, photo release, video release, model release, whatever that may be, just because it can cause issues. Very much so. I've seen it happen everywhere. So, and it's disheartening too, because it seems as if, when you collaborate and you come together, it's for the best reasons. But then when you fall out of that business or that company or that industry, then all of a sudden, they're using that against you or it's being taken in a negative connotation when at first it wasn't. It was positive. Everyone was in agreement.
It might not see the light of day.
And so you'll take, almost your ego or your emotions and you'll put that before the professional aspect of, hey, we at one point met to create these photos together. So these are our photos. This is our content. And, emotions and ego can get in the way of that in the sense of,
Do you have any advice for like upcoming models or photographers, anything like that, like how to overcome like ego or anything like that? Well, or pride, I would say, ego or pride, whatever.
Yes. So I would say at least within my company, whenever if there is any admin issues, not with the talent, but with the individuals that are running behind the scenes, the shows and what we do. If there's any ever issues, it is addressing those right away. And it also is separating, for any creative, separating that. Okay, so if we want to be friends or if we want to date or, whatever that case may be, separating that and having a good conversation, having that solid communication and understanding as to, hey, if we break up or if we're not friends anymore, we still have this obligation to do a duty and we have a job to do. Definitely. So in keeping that sense of professionalism, and at work, I have to do that. I work at a law firm, so I have to do that all the time, regardless of my emotions. I have a job to do. So I really try and advocate for that. But, we're all human and most of us are younger. So I do understand that it's tricky, but just sitting down and having a conversation, level-headed, no ChatGPT, just simple, real. I can tell when you're texting me.
You get an email or
something
really? Like that.
I can tell.
I've seen
a little
that
too
before.
Good.
It's a little too, or it's a little vague, or it's just like lacking some form of empathy, and it's just, or it's too key pointy.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying with the AI thing. I mean, I don't believe it. I don't know. I just. AI lacks a bit of soul, a bit of the sauce, the creativity,
the humane energy that
this interpretation. I mean, I use it a lot to like research things compared to Google sometimes, and it's just straightforward. I love it, but there's some things that it just doesn't understand, and maybe not yet, but I feel like the part that we'll never understand is just it's not human, and it's not. I'm not trying to bash them, if they ever hear me or whatever. But it's just like, it just doesn't have that touch of that heart and that soul that it just is there and stuff.
Right. Right. You can't create a heart or a soul. But, I mean, AI understands humans. Humans are formulas that you can break down and that you can understand. And when you do that, I mean, it's just, you have power, when you can just understand a vast majority, I would say in average, because those that understand the formula, they can go around that. They're not a part of the average anymore, but it's very easy to break that down. So that's why they created AI and so quickly, because our brains were only allowed to use a certain percentage of that. We're only capable of using a certain percentage of that. And they know that. So,
crazy.
It's easy to break down. I do jury analysis with my job. Yeah, so I break down people without really being able to talk to them.
Oh, really?
So understanding if they'll be good for my case or bad for my case or our case, if I choose them.
So, can you elaborate real quick? What's your study, your background study? Like, what did you major in?
Yeah. So, I am actually still pursuing my bachelor in criminal justice, I would say, in the sense, interdisciplinary studies. But with NAU, it's a 90-30 program, so I go full-time. With 2 different colleges, and it's law classes. And I work full-time for a criminal defense firm. And I'm a paralegal and a secretary and a receptionist and a doorman as well. But
a little bit of everything.
I'm a doorman too, yes. But I do a little bit of everything. But I really get good experience in the sense of the law and how to understand what it is I'll be doing in my future, which I'll still be creative, but I also want to pursue something that I know will financially stabilize me and my family.
Definitely. See, and then I feel like that's only healthy for, I mean, that's, I don't know. I feel like it's good for creatives to keep that in mind, because I'll be honest myself. I like back when I was like maybe like 20 or 22. In the back of my head, I was like, "No, I'm gonna do this forever. I don't need to do that." Yeah. And a part of me felt like if I committed to school, I would be saying that I'm pushing my passion away. But the reality is, it's planning for the better. Just like how you might plan your finances, you know, your Roth IRA, 401k, whatever. Yeah. It's for tomorrow. And my advice for any creative is just, there's nothing wrong with taking care of this garden for tomorrow and just while this one grows. Right. You know what I mean? And things change. People change their minds. Fields change. And I think it's nothing wrong with that.
Right. No, you don't have to rush it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't have to cut anything off to make more time because, you know, there's 24 hours in the day. That's a lot of time. So it's managing your time and it's finding the best ways, you know, where your time and where your energy should be. You know, we want to take time for ourselves, but finding self-care within the things that we do with making clothes or podcasts or modeling, whatever that may be, finding the self-care within that so we feel fulfilled and we don't have to, you know, waste hours watching TV or sitting on the couch and playing video games unless you do that professionally on Twitch or something, you know. We can spend our time being productive but also still feel that sense of self-care and fulfillment, which we need, and I advocate for that for mental health, but, you know, just finding that within the everyday chores or errands that you do.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we talk about that a lot. Like, we need... we've been saying, talking about with our friends lately that I feel like when you lack purpose, you don't really get that feeling of self-accomplishment, stuff like that, you know? Yeah.
So or like just whatever works for you, you know, your understanding.
So just doing like little errands or like, you know, just getting up, making your bed makes you feel like, okay, I got it like going today, you know what I mean?
Right, like this is going towards something. So you need to have a big end goal.
There you go.
The little things.
The little things that lead up to something bigger for your future, whatever that may be. So,
Would you say that you're working all the time? Like
I work 24/7.
24/7?
Yes, I do. Nice. I sleep a few hours, maybe 3 to 4 hours.
Sneak them in there?
Yeah, it's a good enough time to where I can sleep off and recover the painful harms of the day. Just because being awake, it is harmful on the body. Yeah. So
definitely, especially if you're not getting like a quality of sleep, whatever it might be. Yeah. You know, do you take naps?
I do not.
You just grind it out?
I grind it out.
So when you finally go to sleep, do you knock out?
And I'm out. You could. I'm a hard sleeper. I don't want to say. I'm a very hard sleeper, yes.
No, because I've noticed that with some people, they're up and active to that point, and then they just knock
crash out.
So nice, That's my medicine. I know other people need things. I'll work. I'll work myself to sleep, and that's what I do. I usually fall asleep on my couch with my computer, or with my notebook, or... Yeah, I'm usually.
That's what I'm telling you. Yeah, it's just that that sacrifice and determined for right now, for tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow we can use the breaks, but right now, let's just keep it going. We're gonna get there a little bit quicker or a little bit better, more effectively, and we don't know. That's the thing. We don't know. It could you can get taken off your tracks, and then that's part of life. Yeah. No. But I advocate for that's my lesson that I really learned too. That just getting full into gear and committing to now, even if it's 15 minutes to an hour a day, I can do this. I need this for me. And that's the thing. No one's going to be on top of you. Like, no one's checking in. Yeah, they'll follow up with you, but are they following you up with your schedule and everything you need to do? You know what I mean? It's just, you got to do this for you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the beauty of it. I love it.
It is.
I love it. And I dislike it sometimes, but that's the beauty of it. But that's the part that I committed to and I accept. You know what I mean?
Yes. We're working for the relaxation later on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. And when you can't work anymore, you know, that's what I fear is that I'm going to want to do all of these things and there's all of these things I haven't done and I can't do them, you know, maybe mentally or physically or whatever, financially, whatever the case may be. I'm not capable or I'm not able to do them. That's my biggest fear, I would say. Yeah. So I'm trying to do a little bit of everything, you know.
That's cool. No, that's wow. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a good way to go about things, you know. Yeah. Opportunity in everything, even in the bad situations that I've gone through. You know, it's an opportunity of learning and growth and within myself and development. And, you know, we have to go through the hard times to get to the good times. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Did you mention, I don't know if you mentioned, what do you want to do like with the criminal justice side? Like, what do you want to aim for in that?
Oh, yeah. No, sorry. We went on a little tidbit. A little tidbit there. So I am working for a criminal defense firm now as a paralegal and pursuing my bachelor's. I will be done hopefully within the year so that I can take a few months off, take my LSAT, go to law school. My goal is Yale. So if I were to get into Yale, then I would, move out of state. That would be the only time that I would move out of state. If not, Connecticut.
Connecticut? Oh,
yes.
Connecticut? Oh,
Connecticut, yes. But if not, then I'll just stay in state and go to law school here. And then I will be an attorney for a few years, and the end goal is to be a judge. Yes.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Nice.
Yes. Are you typically, people on those tracks, what age or how long, many years in the field, I was going to say game, do they end up, becoming a judge? Like, you typically, I've never really seen too many young judges,
Yes, no, not too many. Well, I mean, I could work in a courthouse as a judge now, even, but for civil small disputes or little
like traffic violation, misdemeanors,
little not misdemeanors, but little petty offenses or civil, $200, $250, $500 offenses, things of that sort. Maybe no seatbelt, something like that. But it would take the average person. You have to get your bachelor's, and then you have to go to law school, which is 3 years. So I've been in school for 5 years now, and I still have, I would say, a good 3 to 4 more years left. So it's taking me about eight to 9 years.
It's not bad. You're almost there.
I'm almost there, yes.
Keep
But
going.
it is worth it, though, because then I just take my continuing education each year, and then I'm just settled and I'm done. So.
And I would imagine, is it different for like state or county kind of thing, or like there's levels to it, right?
It's different per state. It is. So I know in Arizona you have to be an attorney for at least 5 to 10 years before you can be a judge. But again, that's it. The judge that I'm hoping to be, I guess, in the sense of dealing with more felony cases, working in the courts that I'm working with now, but as the judge rather than the paralegal. So, and that'll take a bit. But again, I could work in civil small disputes as a judge if I wanted to get that.
You want to handle the bigger cases?
I do. I really do.
What
yes.
about that, like, fascinating you? Is there anything, like, in your personal sense that you, like, is there any cases, in particular cases that really struck you as something like it got you, or you still think about it, like
Yes, there's one I think about every day.
Which one?
His name is John Elliott, and he actually lives here in Payson. Well, here in Arizona, but up in Payson.
Right.
And he was charged with animal cruelty and discharging a firearm within a municipal unlawfully. And there was 2 dogs charging at him, and he did not know if these were wild dogs, if these were someone's pets, but they were snarling and barking and charging at him. One had went around him. He turned and faced the other way. There was one just right on him, and he shot the dog. And this, unfortunately, was a police officer. This was a police officer's dog. He wasn't a canine that was sworn in, but he was, a family pet of an ASU police officer in Payson.
Right.
And, the dog, unfortunately, Maddie, she had died. But he was defending himself. He really felt, he's 78. He felt as if his life was at risk. If he would have been bitten, or if he even would have fallen over and hit his head, no one could say.
It's brutal. It's more intense.
Yeah, especially for someone so old and their skin is more frail.
See, that makes the biggest picture. I'm picturing a young guy that's like working like on the field or something, 25, 30. And I love dogs. I love dogs. But if in a self-defense situation, I understand that. But I would have thought, like I said, I love dogs. Yeah. Just kick them. But like in the sense of defending yourself. But I see an older gentleman of that age, you can't just do that. Like you said, he could just fall over. It could cause a chain reaction. Yeah. But what about that case sticks out to you particularly? Like, what happened?
So we took that case to trial because there was a lot of issues.
Like your firm?
Yes, So our firm, so we took that case to trial because we felt, he was wrongfully charged because there was a lot of inaccuracies in the trial, as well as, of course, in the discovery that we had received. It showed that Sergeant McInerney, in particular, that he had been kind of sticking his foot into the door in a lot of criminal cases because he was basically family friends with everyone in the community. And so he wants to help them. And so instead, he'll charge people, wrongfully to try and help his friend or his family or his neighbor.
His best interest?
In his best interest, yeah. So we did prove that to be accurate in the sense of, he had not secured any crime scene. He had just, there was a lot of issues
Right.
there.
Yeah,
So
whatever you're allowed to say.
Yeah.
So I mean,
respectfully.
it's over now. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
are able to talk
Right.
about it, and it is public record. So you can go online and you can watch actually a live stream of the trial,
Oh,
or you can see any of the news articles that they had posted. But so there was a lot of discrepancies there, and the officers had drawn up a photo of the dog of Maddie that was shot, and they had inaccurately placed where the entry and exit wounds are, which is very important.
Right,
That shows,
yeah.
They were trying to say that, Maddie was just running clear across the road and that she wasn't doing anything to him, and she wasn't going to, but they weren't there. He was, but they were trying to, they were really trying to get him, that's for
Yeah.
sure. So they were trying to say he was running across the road and he just, saw her and shot her for no good reason.
I mean, because people that don't know, Payson's a lot more open out there. It's not the city like how it would be in Phoenix, and then depending on what time of year, you're looking at a lot of snow and just traction. So that environment makes a big difference too.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it does. No, because there's javelinas. They've even had a
Right,
bear in their community that just roamed out of the forest, and they had to call some national animal security, just to get this bear. It was crazy, So they have all types of wild animals, so that's why he does keep himself armed. And he's older, so throwing rocks or sticks or kicking or punching wouldn't work. But that's why he keeps himself armed. But yeah, they said that he just shot the dog harmlessly, for no good reason. And they also tried to say, the prosecution tried to say that because Maddie was not biting him, because Maddie had not actually attacked him, she was not going to, and he was not being attacked. He shouldn't have been in fear for his life because he wasn't being attacked. There was nothing happening to him. But if I'm chasing you with a knife.
I didn't do it.
Oh, that's true. That makes sense. Yeah.
And then these are dogs. You said it was one or two.
There's two.
Two,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So then it's unpredictable, and I think everyone knows. Even babies know this, that the aggression that they're reflecting is it's a self-defense thing, or it's a danger thing. And that's
It's crazy. And we had an expert, John Elliott. He paid for an expert. His name is John Correa, and he's an expert in self-defense in the sense of with animals or with humans, and especially with firearms. So he did a study in which he showed that it was about a Labradoodle, Labrador-sized dog, that a Labrador could run and could cross the 110 feet that the dog was from John in 2.64 seconds.
Oh, that's
at full speed.
Yeah, I mean, I understand someone a trained person can draw their weapon at that time, but you have to understand with the adrenaline training and all those factors, and I'm sure he doesn't want to actually draw it. I could speak for a lot of people that don't actually want to use their firearm for self-defense. Yeah, see, in 2 seconds, that can happen. A lot can happen.
Like
A lot
that,
can happen. And he did have his dog with him, too. So that's what was happening. So he was walking his dog on the sidewalk, and he saw just two dogs on the road charging at him. He didn't know. And it was a hill, so you really couldn't see if there was anybody behind the dogs or who the dogs belonged to. No one was calling for the dogs. And, Lori Bathke, who was in charge of the dogs, she is a bit elderly as well. So I believe that's why he didn't see or hear her, is because she didn't get there in time until, 3 seconds. I mean, no one could have seen it in that time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Have you seen any cases that you've seen a lot of the what's called like false evidence or stuff like that, or discrepancies, stuff like that? And you know that this doesn't add up.
Well,
but it goes through, and then someone gets unwrongfully
convicted.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's rare. So initially when I wanted to get into law, it was to advocate for those that were wrongfully convicted. And then as now I'm working in the law field, I understand that's not what we do. We don't say you're not guilty of DUI, you're not guilty of animal cruelty, but we look through the evidence, and the police officers, they have rules that they need to follow. So if they're not following their rules, or if something that they do is inaccurate or incorrect, or if they don't have probable cause to arrest you, or if there's certain things that happen, then we're the ones that fight for our defendants' rights, and we make sure that their rights are being protected. Definitely. Because many times, like with John Elliott, they were just going to throw the book at him, and because of a personal preference, really, not because he did anything wrong.
A dash of favoritism in there.
A bit.
No, but imagine those cases where the person was like, John Elliott would have been like, well, you know what, this will get situated, I don't need a lawyer.
Oh,
no need to spend premium bucks, or just do a public one, or I'll just explain it myself, and then quickly you're in, knee deep. you know. Situation like that could just escalate. It's crazy.
Well, and to say if he were to have represented himself, he's not, like he's told me many times, you know, he's not into the legal mumbo jumbo. So, you know, he would not have prevailed by himself. You know, our attorneys, with the expertise that they have, they were able to prevail with spending hours of, you know, looking through the evidence and listening over and over and over again to interviews and to recordings to see, you know, what really was happening. Because, you know, if one side of the story is saying one thing and, you know, there's another side of the story saying another thing, we need to see, you know, what's happening. Someone's lying, someone's miscommunicating, someone, you know, has a false idea or understanding as to what's going on, because there's just something going on there in the middle. So our job is to just kind of bridge that gap, and whether that is guilty, okay, then they're guilty, but you know, we want to advocate for less time or for a lower fine, or you know, just because they don't have criminal history, or you know, we bring up things that, you know, when an officer's pulling you over for DUI or for criminal speeding, they're not, you know, how many kids do you have at home, sir? You know, it's not, he doesn't care about that, but you know, a prosecutor and a defense attorney can sit down and say, you know, he has this going on. He provides this to the community. He's normally this type of person. This was, you know, a one-time incident, or whatever the case may be. Yes, whatever the factors may be. You know, so that's our job. Really, is to just find those discrepancies, or just to advocate for their rights.
Do you ever think like people's personal feelings get in the way? Like, and then like, let's say for example, you're in jury duty. You're in a trial or case, whatever. Like, let's say they're explaining the defendant's side and the other side. Do you ever think like someone's personal feelings could, like, oh, I don't know if it's right, or, you know, cause like a misjudgment or something like that?
Well,
the confliction with emotion.
Yeah. So jury instructions say that jurors are not allowed to use any of their previous background or knowledge. They're not allowed to use their emotions or anything that they've been through, even if it's relating to the same, you know, incident that you're a juror for in that case. But you can't use any of that. All you can use is the evidence that was given to you, and that is their instructions. They're instructed to do that, and they're sworn in, so they legally promise to the judge and to everyone in the courtroom that they will not go against that. But
humans are humans.
Humans are humans. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, if someone, an officer, an expert, they say something that was, that may, they say taint the jury pool, because, you know, they can't consider that. They can't say, yeah, you're guilty because of this. They can't use that as a reason, but in the back of their mind, it'll always be there. You know, it'll cause a sense of doubt. And without a reasonable doubt is what we're trying to prove. The state has a burden to prove that you're guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So, you know, if they even have that slight doubt there, I mean, it could benefit us. But at the end of the day, it, you know, depending on what side it's leaning, it could also, you know, taint the jury pool, and we could have a mistrial, and we could lose.
To it. Taking a step back, bringing it back, but staying on the same track.
Yes,
same
creative.
notion. Creative. So my question is, with you, in your personal opinion, you as a creative and with your legal your experiences, how do you feel about brands such as like fast fashion, such as H&M, Forever 21, stuff like that, stealing smaller brands and designers' work and just running with it, and the fact that, you know, it's kind of a gray area to protect certain things, and then some people argue, well, you know, it's inspiration. Well, you know, hey, a lot of people think a lot of similarly, you know, and stuff like that. You know, there's not too much protection for the creative sometimes with things like that, with stealing ideas. There is not a lot of protection, again, unless you have a no competition clause, you have some sort of contract, you have some sort of release that says, or some sort of patent, even on some project or item that says this is solely mine. It has to be written, because if it's not documented or written anywhere, then you really have nothing. So, and again, that's not really the area of law that I work in, but at least in my experience, you know, stealing from other creatives, regardless of if you're a big creative, if you're a small creative, or a big company, a small company, it's not okay, regardless of, you know, where you're at here. And, you know, but to prevent that, those contracts, or there's no competition clauses, or, you know, of course, as you're branding yourself on social media, it's hard to maybe gatekeep or to hide things, because then there will always be a mimic or a copy of whatever you do, clothing, photo shoots, music. You know, there's always going to be a follow-up, and they want to be you, or they want to do what you're doing. But it's, again, having those contracts, or
those types of licensings that can show that this is yours. And so if they, are taking your work, you can take them to court, civilly. It isn't a criminal act, but you can civilly, sue them for some money or, what the case may be, or have them take down or give you right or to to give you that credit there on whatever that may be. Yeah, you can fight for that, but it's hard. It really is.
Kind of a gray area, yeah, because they don't shed that sense of importance towards art in certain aspects and stuff like that. Unless you're huge, and it's just it's tricky. Because I've seen like brands like Forever 21, H&M, which I stopped going to. They willingly straight up steal small artists and small brands inspirations and stuff like that.
And that's because they have the money. Probably, I don't know, but I would assume that such as, some of the TikTok stars that, they have their stuff going on too, that, they have enough money to cover it up. So it's fine. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, and then the thing is, it's hard to keep up with something like that. Like say, okay, an artist creates a sample or he does his little small line, whether it's in the works, he's going to drop 20 pieces, 200 pieces, 200 seems like a lot, but it's really not,
Yeah.
But then these fast fashion brands, say something like Zara, they can have something up in like 7 to 9 days, like from their production team, sketch team in manufactured overseas and on the floor and already en route to being on the floor within like less than a week or two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In that amount of time, a lot can happen. Yeah, it's hard to keep up. How can you keep up?
It is. Yeah. It's hard. And it's really, it's like the universities, like ASU. I advocate for community colleges just because you're getting the same, if not better education, because you're getting that one-on-one, that personal time. Small businesses, same thing, I don't like the bigger corporations too much. Not that I won't work for them or not that I don't advocate for them or not, more so. But I can understand the gray areas and the discrepancies that they have to go through sometimes. And, you can't really pinpoint it unless they tell you themselves.
Definitely.
Because, there can be theories all day. In the sense of, oh, we have somebody back here creating or we have somebody back here just Googling, you never know.
Have you ever reached out by bigger brands?
Well, I would love to work with bigger brands, but maybe not because, if you were to work with Gucci, they don't credit you. You could say I've worked with Gucci, but they don't credit you. And so you're not getting any traction. You're not getting any traction, and it's, and a lot of times, the no tattoos, the height or the certain.
Yeah, their criteria, especially runway criteria, is something else, bro. Height, ear size, nose to eye ratio.
Nose size, teeth size. No, it's tough. And that's another reason why I started my business was because, we don't care about that. Your weight, height, ethnicity, gender, anything. We don't care. We don't care about any of that. Tattoos, piercings. We don't care about that because, as the generation, as we continue to grow and as we continue to develop and there's more of us, that vision is going to change as to, what Vogue and what Gucci looks like. Hopefully, maybe that is tattooed and rustic and boho rather than, cookie cutter.
Yeah, because, it was only a few years ago. Not now, but it was when like say something like Vogue transitioned their artists from being supermodels to superstars, like when they had like people like Rihanna or Beyonce on there, it changed everything. They thought what people knew was the normal, what was like what's supposed to be into something else. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Something unreachable.
Yeah, culturally different. Yeah, and then for them to have, I think they had A$AP Rocky or something on a Vogue magazine cover.
Like that's
for them,
cool, but they should have their own magazine or something. Yeah,
true.
Vogue has always been, its own entity. It has its own aesthetic and branding and marketing by itself. You don't need A$AP Rocky, these people. You don't need all these people on Vogue because Vogue itself, the name of Vogue it's already one within itself. That's why if I had a bigger brand like Vogue, if Admire turned into Vogue or something like that to the extent, then I would use it to foster those smaller businesses and those smaller creatives and the newer creatives because that's, you never know. Those newer creatives could be the best. There's someone I worked with, his name is Lamar, and he is newly added onto our company, but he said he wanted to model, and so we got him into a little acting gig, and he was amazing, and it was his first time acting, but a gem in the rough, that's for sure. And you would never know unless you fostered that, unless you gave him that opportunity. But you won't get those opportunities unless you've been doing it for so long and you're at a certain level or you know so many people or blah, blah, blah. So I don't like that. I'd like to foster that at a level, where we can find true talent when it's needed and foster it in a good way.
You see, and that's the just the beauty of the art, but also one of the sad things about art is just I've always thought about that, like the undiscovered music artist or the undiscovered athlete. Like there's pro athletes out there, or excuse me, athletes out there that are even better than what we know as the big stars, but they just never got to be nourished. Maybe they weren't around an environment that put them in sports or a city that really nourished that flower. It's just it breaks my heart. The reality is there's a football player out there that we'll never know. There's a musician out there, the designer.
Isn't that the whole
out
thing
there.
too? Like when you know somebody, instead of like you could have all this talent, and if you don't know somebody, you can't really make it like big.
No light, or even before the age of the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just it's the harsh reality.
It is.
Yeah.
But that's why, companies and businesses in our generation taking the time to change that, not right away, not rushing that, but, just taking small steps. And we make mistakes. Sometimes we make mistakes and we're not always going to be perfect, but it's the intention that we have. And at the end of the day, bringing positivity to the community. That's what we want to do.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What
Thank
do
you.
When you're in your own company, you hire your own people, right? Like, what do you look for, like, to bring people on, like as a talent or anything like that?
Yeah, so typically if you're a brand new model, then I would, of course, advise to go through some coaching, just because at least with the experience that I have and some of the other coaches that are on our team, they all together, we have those years of experience that give you the good, the bad, the industry, the confidence, the posing, the runway, the
all
styling,
the
everything that you need. Yeah, the pros and the cons, the good and the bad. So I would always advocate for coaching just to get, that one-on-one education first, rather than just jumping right into an agency. Is sometimes they'll just try to get you out, get you the work. Also, a lot of times I've seen some agencies too that are charging thousands of dollars for models to be on their team, and that just shows you don't have a lot of work coming in, because if your models have to fund your business, then you don't have any work. So that kind of shows too. If you have to be on a payment plan, $600, $800, $700, thousands of dollars too. Even I've heard and I've seen. It's not an agency.
For models to pay someone to give them work.
Right. And I understand, some of the photo shoots that we have at Admire, sometimes you have to pay to get in.
Right.
But okay, not in the sense of, we're charging you $800 a month. Okay, no.
A subscription at that point.
A subscription. No, it's in the sense of, maybe $20, $30 to help us cover the food that we're going to give you,
right.
or
Definitely.
the space that we, spent out of pocket. Because if I could label us as nonprofit, I would. I would say that most of, if not all of the income that we're getting is from the clients that we get. And if not, then I'm just creating opportunities, or I would pay some of my models out of pocket. So, something.
You're really doing this for the love of the game.
Yes.
Wow,
just because I
That's
love
good.
it.
That's cool.
Just because I love it.
Advocating for the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the money that I make from law, I immediately just put it in here to my creative.
We gotta start doing it
Legally and artistically.
Yeah.
You really are for the people. That's
No, that's
beautiful,
what's
yeah.
up. That's what's up.
Thank you.
that's
No, I
what's up.
appreciate that, guys.
That's
Thank
it.
you. No, I've worked hard for where I
A long
am
time, yeah.
right now, but and
Awesome.
hopefully to continue to grow that
Oh,
and
yeah,
to
definitely.
give back to the community.
Compared
in
to,
positive
like,
ways.
Yourself 2-3 years ago, what's something you would have told yourself?
I would have said, girl, you're going to get it. And I wouldn't have believed myself. I wouldn't have known what I was talking about. But just because, I would say even 3 years ago now, I had just had my son. And at that point, I was in a toxic relationship. And I really had thought that I was not going to rise above that. I was in a good place with dance and with my family, and then and with school. And then I kind of, dunked down into a deeper spot. And I really didn't think I was going to get out of that. But, everything really helped me from there. My son, of course, really was the initial start of that.
Nice.
He was my inspiration.
Awesome.
But, it's just been positive and
That's
beneficial
awesome.
for me.
Aside from that, did you ever have any doubt? Like, besides that situation, was there ever any doubt you had? Like, do I really want to still do this? Or do I
this
anything like that?
industry is whack. These
Yeah, stuff like that, yeah.
whack.
Well, there's been a lot of instances that, not every instance that I've been in or experienced has been positive.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's not always going to be positive anywhere. If you work at a fast food chain, if you work for a clothing designer, if you work at a law firm, if you work for a shoe company, wherever you work. If you groom dogs, there's always going to be clickiness. There's always, everything that we have in our industry, it's the same everywhere else. It's just understanding how to manage that, work through that. And it builds my skin thickness, of course.
Yeah.
I have thick skin from my law firm and also from the companies
Right.
that I have now. Yes, I say my law firm, but the law firm that I work for, and then the companies that I have.
You'll have one day though.
Yes. No,
There
I
you
mean,
go.
well, everyone says, you should have your own firm, but really, I really want to be a judge. Or if I'm not a judge, then I would strictly be an attorney just for jury analysis. So, firms would hire me to work at their firm and put on mock trials or to help even go with them to trials to pick their jurors for them. Because that's what I'm best at is, psychology, reading people, understanding people, picking up on energy.
Did you study psychology and sociology?
I did, yes.
Yeah, which one did you, both or just diving into more
Both.
psychology?
Yeah, so I have different
awesome.
certificates and, human resilience, emotional resilience trainings, and of course, endless background in education with psychology, sociology,
That's awesome.
human mind training. Yes. So
Yeah, we got to get another episode of that alone.
I know.
I
A
love
separate
me
episode,
personally. Yeah, I
part two.
love
Psychology.
sociology.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sociology.
yes.
yeah. Out of
Yeah.
the two, I love sociology the most. It's just it's very interesting to me.
Yes.
But
me too.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Really good.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Good
no.
stuff. Good stuff.
Anything you would want to? You want to bring this up?
For me?
Yeah.
What?
Anything else you wanted to bring up?
Oh no.
Like just what do we just take this to another route?
Well, should we take another route? What are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know. Just bring out some.
Do you have any questions for us or anything like that?
Good.
Like
Oh. Ooh, look
I
at
know
me.
we.
I'm the host.
We
Sit
never.
down.
We never ask any questions like our guests. Like,
Oh, do you have any interview
do you have any
questions for me?
questions for us?
Any
No,
questions
just
for me?
kidding.
No,
Questions-
it's okay.
Questions, comments, concerns.
Well, if you would like to be a part of our show, then you're more than welcome.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah,
Yes.
I'd love to. Yeah, we can definitely talk about get more into that off the camera. I would love to. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
no.
Because it's been a minute. It's been a while since I've done that. I've been focusing more on stuff in house and things
Okay.
behind the scene, nourishing that baby, instead of like, I guess marketing wise. But then those are things I needed. I needed like water and take care of too.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I love that. Okay.
Uh,
No,
Good
it's good to
stuff.
foster that regardless. I mean, being versatile, it's good,
Yeah.
even though we don't want to get a cake from Albertsons. It's good to have a long...
Did you have a bad experience or something?
I know. I got something against them.
Not advocate. No, I love Albertsons. I
Yeah.
just, that's
funny.
I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
go at Fry's or
Oh, yeah,
Safeway or
definitely.
Walmart. Figured Albertsons
Getcha,
was the
yeah.
safest. I think they're already going. You know what I mean? I think they're already set to go. But in the sense of creative wise, what else do you guys do? I guess I don't know much about you guys, so
That's fair.
I guess I don't know too much. So what else do you guys
First
do?
time meeting. I do
Yes,
photography,
it is.
videography, and then of course podcasting.
Awesome.
He does. What do you do?
What are
that
you?
do? Oh well, really getting back into like clothing, designing.
Yep.
I'm a huge reseller. Been a reseller for a long time. It's just my passion's always been clothing.
Awesome.
Really just trying to get the brand going. Not just with myself, but with other people I work with.
Awesome.
I've worked with artists' band merch and just recently expanding to like I was telling you about. We'll show you the new studio space.
Oh yeah.
I just really I forgot how much I love styling. I forgot how I'm not really too big about holding the camera, but at this point I need to. But I care more about what's in front of the camera.
Mm.
So I just miss that. I just miss styling lookbooks and stuff like that. To all degree. My favorite is just like styling and putting together and get, like the behind the scenes creative for like music videos and stuff like that. Like I've done
That's
a
my
bunch of music videos with like
favorite.
a bunch of
Oh.
artists locally or in house or stuff like that.
Mm.
I just love those kind of things. And those are the kind of things where it's like, yeah, in Arizona it's hard to do it, but it's networking.
Right.
Yeah.
And then getting this creative space, it's been a roller coaster, and then it's been a blessing.
Yeah.
And also expanding with like our business, with Alejandro will tell you too that we're trying to get things going, and it's also it's a lot of L's too, like learning the like, hey, people are I don't want to get too into it, but I've had good people that I work with that no longer I associate with just because of like I don't want to say animosity, it's just bumping heads and it's just differences, and it's just like how you said earlier, you're removing your emotions from it and coming about it professionally, because say with me and him, we're brothers actually, so for us normally we're gonna talk the way we work like at home. And then, but it's like, nah, I really want to get to this objective, so we both have to subtract ourselves. Or sometimes we have to call each other out, like, hey, you're talking to me like we're my brother, not a business partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my bad, I went on a tangent. A lot to learn, lots to get into stuff. I just love doing clothing. I work with other people with music and stuff like that. Creative. I love creating,
Awesome.
Just all kinds of things. And then, I guess in conclusion, what I'm saying is the business side is just nourishing, and it's, honestly, I've been taking a lot of L's personally, where it's to the point where it's screaming in my face. It's like, bro, I don't know what you're not doing. This is what you need to do. Or this is what you know, and you've always wanted to do it. So the fact that you're not doing it, like you're me,
Yeah.
like it's screaming in my face.
I see.
So
You're kind of in that
Yeah, I've had to
Nice.
like get
Yeah.
myself out of my own like the hole I was in to realize that hey, this is what you've been needing to do, and it's been in your hand, and you've had the resources and skill. I don't know why you're not doing it. So yeah, and then I'm just going up with it.
Yeah. Well, I can help you. I'll
Oh,
help you. That would
that'd
be
be
awesome.
awesome.
No, because music videos are my favorite. I choreograph. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
yeah, so since I
Awesome.
dance, I also choreograph different pieces as well. So for music videos is one of my favorites. I choreographed I was co-choreographing there for a piece for RJ. He just came out with a song called Bad Behavior or
Yeah.
Best Behavior. And he's a guy from TikTok, RJ.
That name sounds very familiar.
Yes, he's from
Yeah.
TikTok. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's
TikTok,
coming
yeah.
up. He makes some pretty good music, yes, but it's Best
Awesome.
Behavior. His music video just came out. It's pretty good.
Awesome.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
so
we
I
got
did
a
some
lot of
choreography.
collaborative networking
For
we need to
real.
get into.
Yes, I'm very much
Awesome.
into it with artists, models,
Yeah.
dancers, directors, cinematographers. So I was going to ask, so you said videography.
Yeah.
So what, in the sense, do you do there?
I haven't really got into it because I'm trying to get back into videography and photography from like past stuff that's happened.
Okay.
But I'm trying to jump back into it, and I don't know. I'm just like I feel like I'm in a creative block right now, and that's what I feel like. I want to get over that, so I can jump back. Okay, now I can do this, create, shoot videos, photos, whatever this and that. Because I used to do more photos with, I guess, other models around the valley, but that was before the pandemic. Pandemic happened. I took a little break, and then I tried to get back into it now, and it's just like I don't know where to start now.
Yeah, there's so many places to go.
Yeah.
Well, I can help you both out. That would be
Oh,
cool.
definitely, that'd be cool.
That would be really cool, actually.
That would be awesome. I would love that.
That'd be awesome. You got
Give me-
tired of the
give me 2
headphones?
seconds, I'm step-
What we were just talking right now? How about you were in a video?
Yeah,
on
you're
the
Yes.
talking
movie?
about film work. You're
Yeah.
doing
Film work, there you
right
go.
So we're talking
Yeah.
about acting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am getting into acting more now, working with a few cinematographers. It's taking me a while to find some that have really good qualities. Now that I have some, specifically from Vegas, I would say,
Awesome.
it's nice to be able to get some mock films and some mock content out there. And so what we've been doing is making some short films, some short skits, and we're going to start posting them more actively. We just posted one, but we're going to start posting some more that we've been in the works of making. And from there, just based off of our audience feedback, we'll be making more, just longer or even more skits off of those, just based off of, again, our audience feedback and if they want that. Right now we're working on a horror movie trailer. So
Awesome.
hopefully, again, if that is successful and our audience likes that, then hopefully we'll put the money in to make that a bigger
What-
film and
What
production.
kind of horror trailer?
So I don't want to give too much away because it's gonna
Right.
be a secret. But we're gonna have really good actresses. We have one of the best directors, I would say, in Arizona. I know that's crazy, but one of the
Arizona,
best
yeah.
directors.
No, I get you.
He's amazing. He does all of my content on my page is from the same director,
Oh,
and
awesome.
Cool.
he's amazing. Yes, so he's really good at directing just commercial social media content or movies, which is very good versatile range there with him. But yeah, so we're working on some bigger projects, and with our horror film, we're going to have some pretty good actresses in this. We're hoping to be filming downtown Phoenix, so it'll kind of be outdoor, maybe murderous. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
You never know.
Maybe a little bit. We'll see coming up, yes, but
Yeah.
it's going to be fun. It's really exciting,
Awesome.
yes.
That's awesome.
When is that
Yes.
plan on dropping?
So hopefully it's going to take a little bit because we're going to be adding some special effects. We're going to get some makeup artists there. So hopefully by the end of the year, that's what I'm shooting for.
In the year?
Awesome.
That's
Okay,
what I'm hoping for because we do have a fashion show in between. We have a few other projects in between. So this will be just kind of a back burner project that hopefully
It's brewing back
yes,
there.
it's
Yeah.
brewing. It's
Yeah,
still
definitely.
happening.
Yeah.
Yes, and I am working on an upcoming monologue that I will be reenacting Annalise Keating, her argument to the Supreme Court for one of the episodes on how to get away with murder. It's a very influential scene, and I really love the emotion behind it, and it gets into some things that we don't get into, but
Right.
Definitely.
it is very emotional. It does kick on the heartstrings, and it really is, awareness to bring, and a really good scene that I think I can reenact. So it'll be nice to
Can't
just
wait for
add that
that.
to my
Yeah.
reel. Yeah, and I'll be
Forward
able
for
to
that.
post it and put a disclaimer, of course,
Oh,
that,
yeah, definitely.
it's not me talking, so just in case anybody has any type of differing opinion, which is fine,
Right.
not everyone is going to think the same, or we'd just be one computer and it'd be boring. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
But
Nice.
yes,
nice.
no, but I'm super excited for all the projects we have coming up. So they should be coming out here hopefully by the end of this year, most of them. So yeah, my monologue will be a lot quicker too. It only takes a few weeks for those shorter skits to come back.
Some motion,
okay.
yeah,
Yes.
some motion.
Yeah.
Nice.
But if we make it bigger, then it'll take a while.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know, man.
Really awesome stuff.
Awesome
yeah.
stuff
We
right
got all
there.
types of stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We definitely like to have you back again to talk
Definitely.
about
Yeah.
other stuff, like you mentioned about like the legal side stuff of
Diving
other
deeper.
things, diving
other
deeper,
things.
Yes.
maybe conspiracy and stuff like that. Who knows?
I would love to.
A lot of fun
Stories,
stuff,
maybe.
yeah.
Yes, I would love to.
But thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you
Aiyana.
for having me.
Thank you.
guys. I
No problem.
appreciate
It was fun. We
Yes.
learned a lot. I mean, I didn't know you were into like all like the legal system stuff like that. So that's definitely something new for me.
Yes.
But it was great. It's great having you. Hopefully we have you again. And
Yeah.
how will you wrap it up?
Yeah. Well, Aiyana, it's been great to have you. This has been
Thank
the Put
you.
Me On Some podcast, guys. My name's Zero-san. Obviously, my good friend, my good brother here, Dro.
Alejandro Gomez. My bad.
Alejandro.
Sorry.
Excuse me. I'm still dividing those two people.
Yeah.
So it's been great. Honestly, Aiyana has
Yeah.
been like ups and downs and really diving deep. And like
Yeah.
how you said, we'd love to have you back on again.
Definitely,
we definitely will.
definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
But
Well, where can everyone find you?
oh yeah.
On Instagram at yana.models with a Z to make it cooler. We're on
Definitely.
TikTok, Facebook, anywhere.
Gotcha.
Yes.
All right. We'll put those in the links and everything in there.
Awesome.
This has been the Put Me On Something podcast. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course YouTube. And yeah, thank you for
else,
tuning in to the Put Me On
Awesome.
Something podcast, baby.
Yes,
We're
thank
out.
you.
Yes.